3 minutes after 11 o'clock. And welcome to today's edition of Voices. This is Jamsa. I'm going to be sitting in for Socrates, who is going to be occupied for the rest of the week with transportation for St. Kitts Music Festival. So just letting you guys know, he won't be in on Friday either. As, like I said, St. Kitts Music Festival kicks off tomorrow, and he'll be tied up providing transportation. And one other issue I wanted to address. Some of you may be having issues getting us on the radio, especially in the coverage area of Atlas Level. Our transmitter site there is without electricity. Apparently, it's been like this since Sunday, and Skellig has not been able to make their way up there to get that transmitter site back on. So we do apologize to our listeners who happen to live in that area and are affected transmission-wise, reception-wise. However, you can go to the WinFM website, WINNmediaSKN.com, and you can listen to us there. You can also listen on YouTube, Twitch, and X, formerly known as Twitter. And Facebook as well. All you have to do is go and search for WinMedia SKN, and you will find it. Now, as far as the website is always streaming. So if you can't get us by the radio, if you go to WinMediaSKN.com, you will always get the WinFM audio stream. Just letting you guys know that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go hear from our sponsors. The sponsors for the first half of Voices are Rams, TDC, and Flow. And we're going to come back and we can discuss. I'll table some issues for discussion, and you can call in and weigh in or posit any topic, issue that you want aired or discussed. So we'll come back after the break.
Magnum, my brand. Everybody put your Magnum in the air now. From you a drink Magnum, make me see. Take charge of things now your place now. From the river to the beach to the street. Hot Magnum when me have in a me hand there. He are a sipper, she tell me sweet. Look for me watch for your quick time check. Yeah. Right now a Magnum for your beat. Enjoy yourself every day of the week with a Magnum. My life I forget sweeter. Must be 18 years and older to drink. Drink responsibly.
All fathers are special, and at TDC Home and Building Depot, we know this is a fact. From June 8th through to the 29th, enjoy 20% savings on appliances, electronics, furniture, hand and power tools, housewares, and lawn and gardening supplies, and show him just how much he means to you. Still not sure what to get? Gift him with a TDC gift card and let him choose exactly what he wants. Go to the store where every father shops, the TDC Home and Building Depot. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
You don't know them, daddy, thank God me know mine and him take care of me. Daddy, I'm a general.
Floor stands with West Indies fans behind We Cricket. Be a part of the excitement when you sign up for any broadband or postpaid plan and get a chance to win a trip for two to an ICC Men's T20 World Cup match in Antigua. Get 2 chances if you sign up for both. Visit discoverflow.co to sign up or upgrade. Promotion ends June 15. Terms and conditions apply. Flow, official telecom supporter of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup.
7 minutes after 11 o'clock as we dig into Voices, and we're going to get things rolling. I do want to also bring you, first off, to get it out of the way, and possibly provide a fertile bed for discussion and reflection, I guess. Do I ask fans commentary for today? So I'm just going to get right to it. I'm going to play you his commentary, and let's give it a listen, and we'll come back and discuss. And of course, as the show goes along, I will table the other issues that I want us to discuss. So here goes. Dwyer's fans customary Wednesday commentary.
CBI transactions. Greetings. I know that music festival is in the air, but there is a compelling and a critically important conversation that is taking place not just nationally, but regionally with regard to citizenship by investment matters. More specifically, the Chinese jail project. CBI transactions are very sensitive because they involve passports and governments. They involve major investments. They involve lots of money. Government, therefore, has to be at the center of the action when it comes to this business. And as in other areas of governance, government's job is to safeguard and promote the best interests of the people of its country. Over the past month or so, in relation to the jail project, many of you have been asking, where is the money? And you deserve an answer. The best way to make sure that these CBI matters are done right, to make sure that the right amount of money is paid, that the money is where it needs to be, it moves when, where, how, and to whom it needs to move, is if an escrow arrangement is in place. What is escrow? By the way, the word is spelled E-S-C-R-O-W, escrow. What is escrow? Simply put, consider a situation in which two persons are in the process of completing a business transaction. A third person is called upon to hold the money or other asset which is to pass between the two parties to the transaction. The third person is called an escrow agent, and he or she holds the money and or other asset in an escrow account, and he or she releases the money and or other asset only when the two persons in the transaction have completed their obligations. The CBI regulations going back to 2011 contained provisions dealing with escrow, as have all other subsequent CBI provisions and regulations. So important that a law was passed in 2017 to establish guidelines relating to escrow accounts and agreements under the CBI. Now, I said that all regulations since 2011 have contained escrow provisions. Let me correct myself. As far as I've seen, all regulations except regulations number 7 of 2022. It seems that that regulation does not contain provisions for escrow. Under that regulation, specific requirements were introduced for what is called the alternative investment option for a public good project development, a category under which the jail project would be included. If I am correct, and it is indeed a fact that only this category was at the time not subject to escrow, then the obvious question to ask is why not? Why was it not subject to escrow? Why would the necessary safeguards that escrow provides not be included in this particular regulation and arrangement? Note that with regard to the jail project, the applicant applied not to the government, but to Galaxy. Note also that the minimum amount, which was $175,000, was to be paid not to the government, but also to Galaxy. So insofar as the processes were concerned, the government had little involvement, not enough as the regulator and as the government. Straight from the applicant to Galaxy, to accounts where? More than likely not here. So these transactions could have taken place for the most part outside of St. Kitts and Nevis. Now tell me, in a situation like that, what conclusive proof could a government show us to indicate that all of the transactions took place in a manner that would provide safeguards that you would get from an escrow arrangement, although there's no escrow? Long question, but why all of that? Why no escrow? I could be wrong, but if I'm correct with this, we have to ask, Why would the government of the day pass such a regulation and not insist expressly on the application of escrow to that particular option? We need to know. And the former and present administrations have to tell us what we do not know and what we need to know. We need to know that all transactions in relation to the jail project were done with full transparency and within the law. These are major concerns. The regulations over the years also consistently include a provision dealing with the making of false statements which can result in the denial of an application, in the loss of citizenship, if you already have it, and in prosecution under the Perjury Act. Thankfully, this provision has survived the several amendments that followed over the years. We need to know that all of the Galaxy applications involved the minimum investment of $175,000, as stated by the law. As I've said before, the applications were made not to the government, but to Galaxy. And the jail project application form, known as the C4D form, states that upon receiving approval, the applicant is to pay all outstanding amounts to the account of Galaxy Caribbean Real Estate Corporation, not to the government, not to an escrow account under the management of a third neutral person. And at the expense of being repetitive, but I think I need to be, in which country? Where is the money? Now, on the application form, the same C4D form, each applicant will have confirmed the amount of money which he or she would invest. And he or she signed that form. I will presume that all of the applicants put $175,000 as the minimum sum that they would invest in the jail project. A matter of interest on this point is that I imagine that a lot of these applications were made by Chinese people and signatures were appended to application forms printed in English. I wonder how many of these Chinese applicants were able to read and write English. And if some were not, how was it done to ensure that these documents were properly done and that everybody was in order and in compliance with the law? You see, while it is okay to trust, it is always better to verify. So a question can be asked: did the government do due diligence to confirm that those declarations by the applicants were accurate and that the sums of money declared and confirmed by them were actually paid? Did the government confirm that there were no false statements in the 5,500 applications that were processed? And if indeed there were false statements, were the applicants the only culprits in relation to the false statements? And if applicants actually paid less than $175,000, are those applicants the only liable persons in the mix? And if there were false statements, was anybody charged with perjury? Did anybody have his or her citizenship revoked and passport cancelled or punished in some other way? These are questions for past Prime Minister Harris and present Prime Minister Drew. Remember, Prime Minister Drew says that his administration was set up by the Harris administration with having to deal with 20,166 passport applications out of the jail project, which is just about all of the passports that could have been issued under that project. The CBI regulations also state that upon approval of a project, the relevant government technical departments are to vet and approve plans, specifications, and any proposed changes to the project. And while construction is underway, those government departments shall be involved in supervising the project to confirm that it is constructed as represented in the relevant documents. This is protecting the public good, the public interest. Now, how much of that has happened with regard to this jail project? How much involvement has there been of these relevant government departments in the monitoring of this project to see that it is in compliance with its drawings and specifications and other government regulations? The SRNO also stated, and this is repeated in the latest regulations, that such a project shall maximize local employment and embark upon programs including technology transfer and local capacity building. Work on the jail has been taking place. How many locals are employed there? How much technology transfer and local capacity building is taking place there. Other than one or two parties preferred by the former administration, all of the people on this site are Chinese people, probably being paid most of their wages offshore. So is local employment being maximized there? Are technology transfer and local capacity building happening there? These are in the regulations. The same regulation which, by my reading, exempted that option from escrow has all of the money from the application fees and the wage checks, except for a small amount that is being spent at site here. Has all of that money gone to banks in Hong Kong and Beijing and Changsha instead of the people of Halfway Tree, Bastia and Charlestown? Is that where the money has gone? How much money? The people need to know. And those persons who have been and those persons who are in major decision-making positions with regard to this matter have to give us a full accounting. One way, one place, or the other. We want to know about the money and about everything else that we, the citizens and residents of this country, need to know about this project. I've been discussing this with you since before the August 22 elections. And God willing, I will continue, because this is critical, this is historic, and the full facts must be revealed. Now, the latest regulations are a significant improvement on past ones, and that is commendable. They tighten up things quite a bit. In fact, you can go online, lawcommission.gov.kn, and read the regulations. Meanwhile, however, there are matters which need to be addressed. One, how many of these jail applications did the present administration actually approve, if any? And how many certificates of citizenship has PM Drew signed, if any? Two, if any were approved and signed, were they thoroughly inspected? Three, has the present administration checked the applications to see how many of the applicants undertook in writing to pay the full $175,000, and to see if in fact they did pay the full $175,000, and if they did not, what has been done with regard to their applications? Four, if the present administration found out after the fact that there were false statements and other irregularities, what measures have they taken, if any, to deal with these matters? Five, with the Chinese due diligence company stopped by the present administration in May of 2023, has a complete review of all of the relevant applications been done? Or is it being done? And where corrective action is necessary, has it been taken? Is it been taken? Will it be taken? Will passports be cancelled? Will citizenships be revoked? Will perjury proceedings be commenced? The people of St. Kitts and Nevis need these questions to be answered. Meanwhile, I have a suggestion. Perhaps the Drew administration can consider, and if they do so, they must do so without prejudice, that subject to successful due diligence being done, those applicants who have underpaid can be given a chance to retain their citizenships or to succeed in getting their citizenships. If they pay to the government, the difference between what they paid to Galaxy and the $175,000. That way, you can cure some of these ills and you can put money in the government's treasury. These are some thoughts. We have to get answers to these burning questions. This is historic. We're talking of billions of dollars. We need to know. Thank you.
And that was Dwyer Estefani's customary Wednesday commentary. So you guys take that in. We're going to go get a break, hear from our sponsors, and we can come back and discuss that and any other topic that's on your mind.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Floor stands with West Indies fans behind We Cricket. Be a part of the excitement when you sign up for any broadband or postpaid plan and get a chance to win a trip for two to an ICC Men's T20 World Cup match in Antigua. Get two chances if you sign up for both. Visit discoverflow.co to sign up or upgrade. Promotion ends June 15. Terms and conditions apply. Flow, official telecom supporter of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup.
get Chip, Chip, Chip.
Give your little smartie the perfect smart start for their future with CHIP, the child investment plan from TDC Financial Services. Invest in your child's next step, and we know what's next is always changing.
Chip, Chip, Chip. We wanna get Chip, Chip, Chip.
CHIP is a long-term plan with no minimum deposit, no monthly commitment, and you're guaranteed a special high interest rate per annum.
I want Chip. I want Chip too.
Visit TDC Financial Services today and get CHIP, the child investment plan, providing the best head start for every child.
Chip, Chip, Chip. We wanna get Chip, Chip, Chip.
It's 11:25, and we are back. We heard Dwyer's commentary for today. There was a caller. The phone was ringing just before the last commercial ended. But so if that person wants to call back, feel free. But we've also had happening in the last, you could say, maybe the last 24 hours. The second Louis brother was named to the West Indies team, but we have a call coming in, so let me take that. Caller, go right ahead.
Hey, good morning, John.
Hey, what's up?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I never expect voices today, but I thought you would have what I call them there for the music festival.
No, they're having it tomorrow. They start tomorrow, the press conference. I know they usually, yes, I know they usually have one on Wednesday. So I actually had to ask because I wasn't sure, because I know usually the first one would be on Wednesday. And
That's
then,
why
you know.
I give you all the sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I give you all the name, you know. Remember it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was listening to the clip that you played there with the former minister.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things he said that people need to know, we want to know. But I wonder if we forget to include the La Valley Golf Course property with Cranston Estate, Canefield, and fence up with the green tinning. And a lot of money was spent to put up the green fence. And up to now, no golf course down there. What was down there was a desalination plant and a generator. And they never been put to use. So I don't know what become of them right now. But we want to know all the money that was invested in that project that never come to fruition. We want to know where the money gone and why the project had to stop. And a lot of money was invested, including the fence and other things. So we still want to know that too. That's all I got to say, Johnston.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, great. Okay, so that was our opening batsman. So callers, keep the calls coming. Now I was talking about the cricketer, the second Louis brother who just made it to the West Indies cricket team. So I'm gonna see if Voices, you're on the air.
Good morning, sir, and peace to you.
Hi, good morning.
Okay, two things I want. With a number of things. One, we are in a democracy, and there are a lot of things that are happening that shouldn't happen. We're in a democracy, and according to our constitution, you are allowed to join organizations, party, whatever, without being prosecuted. And so I just want to leave it there.
Mm-hmm. Are you finished?
No.
Oh.
I heard something. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
so that we could understand that there are certain things that happen that shouldn't happen, and then when it comes to brain drain, I'm still not really prescribed to it because if you in your country and you cannot get a job for whatever reason, then you have to leave over. You have to go overseas to get that done. I'm just saying this because there are certain things that are happening that shouldn't happen. And we have to get these things started because if you, sir, finish studying and you come back here, for the life of you, you can't get a job. You're going to go back overseas to try to get one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And remember, it's our talent, our people, we are losing just like that. I want to say congratulations to the brothers for the cricket. And I hope this is just the beginning for not just saying it, but the continuation for news. But this is the beginning for saying it. And I'm so happy it happened because I've been asking why it hasn't been done as yet. So I just give God thanks for that, for those two young guys. And I hope it opened the gateway for many more persons who are from thinking. Maybe would have had their share, but I wanted to continue for the entire country as a whole. Also, I'm listening to the commentary that was you played a while ago. And that only led me to believe that at the end of it all, that we have to realize that when it comes to government assets, these funds should be going directly into the government. I don't understand why. I mean, when I reach into office, I might understand. But for me right now, I don't believe in anything that belongs to government, that they should go into some private thing. What happened to a normal passport? They have to go to a process here. So I don't know the specifics, but I mean, that's a question we should ask as well. And if there's nothing to hide, when someone applies, because it goes the normal way, and then we know where the money goes, we can have accountability. Because if someone is billing, as someone has mentioned, a hotel, I can't say, well, they're going to get all this amount of things to just distribute to whoever they want. As far as I remember, when this whole thing started way back in the 1980s, it wasn't like that. You come, you make an investment. So if you are now making an investment or building something, well, you have to get all of this when it's just you. Maybe I don't know how it goes, but to me, it's baffling. I'm just asking because these are some questions that some of my constituents are persons who I talk to and ask me, well, what are you doing? So I'm a bit puzzled, but for me, just looking at it normally, if it is a government transaction, then it should be seen to be so and to be done in a manner to be done just like how it's supposed to be done. That's just my 5 cents for us to think about.
Okay.
Because these are some concerns, questions people asking, and we don't have to look at it. If you have a business and you tell somebody, do this for you, the money is supposed to find itself into your account, right? And then the other question, it begs the question as well, what happened to our people? Why can't our people be in a position to do those kind of things? And it kind of prevents a lot of things, because if you have to pay all these people, all these kind of things, money is just going out, and if you just have our normal employees to get this thing done, we will save, we'll get more from the whole thing. I'm not sure if I'm just looking at it from a different way. But, thank you very much for listening to me. God bless. Thanks to neighbors. Peace be to all.
Okay. All right. So that's another caller. So callers, keep the calls coming. So I was we talked briefly at the very end of the show on Island T this morning about the fact that Jeremiah Louis was also called up to the West Indies team, apparently due to the fact that Kemar Roach, who I think is a bowler, might have picked up an injury. But back to the phone line. Caller, go right ahead.
Hi, good morning.
Mm-hmm.
I have any special topic this morning?
No, we can talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, to my amazement and almost at nausea, I see Whoopi Fools Goldberg criticizing no other than Dr. what the brain surgeon name there? Ben Carson.
Ben Carson, yeah.
The Republican.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you really imagine Whoopi Fools Goldberg criticizing Dr. Ben Carson because he chooses to be Republican? I understand there's a move on that in case Joe Biden is not able to run, they're going to bring back Hillary Clinton. So what is wrong with Miss Harris? These are the same people like to tell you they like black people, But I heard they just move on that in case Joe Biden can't run, they're going to bring back Hillary Clinton. Just imagine, the same people tell you they like black people so much. And one last thing before you go.
But you can't say. I mean, I don't think. I find that's a big conflation. Simply because maybe Miss Harris, I don't think it has anything to do with her race per se. To say that she might be perceived as lacking in the presidential department in terms of being on the top of the ticket. I don't think it's.
No. That is your opinion. That is not my opinion. But she is the sitting deputy.
Yes. She is the deputy president. Yes.
But you want to bring back Hillary Clinton and put her aside, and then you see, you guys are always making excuses for Democrats, But I want to get off the way and say one last thing, please.
Go ahead.
I don't need to be long.
Go ahead.
Can I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, of course.
When Joe Biden, they allow 7 million people to cross the border freely to come into America. Whose jobs are they going to take first? And let me go further. They give them a debit card of must be $1,000. So all the work blacks do for 400 is in America. Why don't they initiate reparation? They're going to take the money and you people cross the border illegally. And up to a few years ago, if I smoke a bit of spliff and go to the U.S. Embassy, you can't get a visa. But any criminal can leave any part in the world, cross the border, and get into America. Black people have to think wisely. When they allow 7 million people to enter America illegally, the first people job they're going to take are black people. And they're going to become a voting demographic to further push black people down the road. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So fair comment, I would say. Although I don't, while I agree with the caller in general, but he's also assuming that all black people, and that the only jobs black people have are entry-level jobs. I mean, there are black people who do office jobs as well, and I don't think that people. No, don't get me wrong. I take your point absolutely, but you're giving all black people do entry-level jobs, and we don't do office jobs and professional jobs and so on. Because let's face it, you're not going to have someone coming from Venezuela and taking away a job from, let's say, a black female with a master's or a bachelor's in, let's say, office administration or even systems administration. That's not going to happen. But I take the point. To the phone lines. Go ahead, caller.
Jamster, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
To you, to our listeners, and greetings once more in Jesus' name. Now, first of all, during the Douglas administration concerning the CBI program, I think I've always been hearing the confusion about whether the money is supposed to be in a private, it's supposed to be in a private account, or whether it's supposed to be in the treasury. I think that discussion has been going on since the Douglas administration, and Dwyer was there in it, and like I always say, what did he use to do to make sure things go right when all of these controversy was brewing, even when he was there, because he was in a position to do something and say something about it because he was in the government. It's just that maybe things later on probably get worse and worse, but it was already bad during his time in government, and what did he do to clean it up? Because he was in a position to do something, and he was carried weight at the time. I think before these people who was in position to do something, but from all appearances, we can see it appears to us that they really did nothing at the time when they had the opportunity to do something. I think that's what they need to first explain and tell the people, hey, I'm sorry. I let the ball drop during my time. I'm very sorry. And I apologize. And I think that this is the way that we should be going forward. But they need to first start with a to me, a public apology for dropping the ball during their time. Secondly, I would like to say that And I think this is going to make you very angry, Jamster, but you know we go. I've been saying over the years that government in carrying up, increasing the minimum wage, in the end, makes things much worse than whatever good may be accomplished by that. You know, for example, you put business you increase the chances of business closures. Your businesses tend to, when government carries out the minimum wage, businesses tend to cut hours and that sort of stuff, cut benefits and that sort of stuff.
So what's your
and
take?
Not only that,
what's your take on them? Okay, now they rolled out the salary increases on a staggered basis, right? I know. I don't remember when the next where the next landmark is, but there's supposed to be the national minimum wage was rolled out in a staggered fashion, whereas the ministers themselves took a lump sum. So what's your thought on them taking a lump sum and with a much bigger percentage versus versus the national minimum wage being rolled out in a staggered fashion? So what's your take? So the minister, what do you say about the ministers taking an increase and also taking it in a lump sum? What's your take on that?
what's my take on that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my personal belief is that, well, based upon the Bible too, when you are a government minister, you are there to serve the public in the right way. And I would argue as a Christian, you're there to serve the public in the biblical way. You are supposed to be a servant type. But that's why the word minister means, you know that, Trevor.
Yeah.
The word minister means servant.
Yes.
You know? And you're supposed to be a servant to the people. And to me, and I would argue it's biblical too, you're supposed to put the needs of the people, the betterment of the people before yours. When there is suffering, you're supposed to be the last person to come out of the suffering. The people are supposed to come out of the suffering before you. Okay? If you can't survive and the amount of money you're getting at the present, doesn't that tell you that how much more the people are suffering? You're supposed to make sure before you increase your wages, life is good with the people. And then when life gets good with the people, then you could think afterwards in increasing your salary. Because you need to feel the people's pain. If you ain't feeling the pain, you're going to be out of tune with the people. You need to be feeling the pain, and you're increasing your wages like that. You ain't going to be feeling the people's pain, so it ain't really going to bother you. You need to be able to identify with the people's pain, and you need to like I said, make sure the people is living a good life, and then could increase your salary. I always believe, and to me, and not to me, but the best way to financially help the people as a government, financially and economically help the people, is really and truly is not by all of these government provisions and government programs and that sort of stuff. The best way to help your people, especially the poor people, and especially the poor single mothers who have it worst of all, the best way to help us all is to do those things that it takes to increase the purchasing power of the dollar. You do those things to increase the purchasing power of the dollar, which is a number of things to do, and the people's life would be getting better and better, and the people's standard of living would be increasing and increasing. And as the purchasing power of the dollar increases because of the things you need to do as the government, the cost of living will be continually going down and down and down. And then after you do those things, then maybe you could think about giving yourself a wage because the people has already been put in a position to live a better life because of what you're doing.
But you also said that you seem to not be on board with the wage increase.
Right.
So are you saying wage
Not at this time.
So when would be a good time to boost wages?
When the poor people stop bawling about the hardness of life. Because you is the one who's supposed to stop bawling. You in the government is supposed to be the last set of people to stop bawling about the hardness of life, not the first set of people. The poor people are the people who are supposed to be the first set of people. Because of the increasing standard of living, because of the right government policies, the poor people are supposed to be the first set of people who need to stop bawling about the hardness of life. And then afterwards, then you could increase your wages.
But you
have done your job.
But I haven't heard of any business that closed down or even laid off anyone because of the wage increase.
Trevor, there are businesses that are closing down. I know what I'm telling you. Me ain't guessing. I know what I'm telling you. There are businesses that are closing down.
And
there are businesses that have to cut down the rates of employment because of increased minimum wage.
But I could argue that perhaps that business isn't being run optimally if a wage/salary increase is going to cause them to cave. I could argue that. I'm just saying. Because if you run efficient and you're doing everything to boost business, I'm thinking a nominal wage increase like what was received. The raising the minimum wage, because usually if you raise the minimum wage, it means that generally the other people who are further up the chain, they get bumped up as well. But I mean, I'm not really seeing. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but I just feel like a business that can't absorb an increase like that is probably not optimally run. Someone tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, Trevor, you have to remember businesses have all sorts of different expenses. You know that a feather
optimally run covers all of that. Meaning, if you're optimally run, it means that you're on your game as far as bills. Maybe income far outstripping expenditure and stuff like that.
Yeah, but okay. Number one, Trevor. Number one, businesses
and operating costs.
For example, government taxes. Government taxes takes a lot out of businesses, and in the end, it cuts down on your profit. And certain businesses, they need more than making a profit. They need to make a certain amount of profit. Now, for example, let me give you an example. Let us say, for example, government. Let's say, for example, government taking 10 cents out of every dollar you make, and they increase it. So instead of 10 cents, they take in 15 cents, maybe 20 cents out of every dollar you make. Let's say 15 cents out of every dollar you make, from 10 to 15. No, it's not easy to make back that 5 cents extra in net profit. It's not easy because you have to sell. You have to make a greater turnover now. You have to make a greater turnover now to make back that extra 5 cents in every dollar coming out, and you need to make back even more than the 5 cents. Because you need to make an extra profit. But even just making the 5 cents, you need to make extra turnover. And if you ain't getting the extra turnover, that you need to make that extra 5 cents that and every dollar the government is now taking out, your business is actually running and less profit, if not a loss. It's not as simple as we think. It's not as simple. And in this economy where things are slow, it's the most difficult thing to get that extra turnover.
I just don't know if the best thing is dragging the Bible into modeling matters like the way governments manage their finances and their fiscal policy and all. I don't know. It just
but even
you see him. You don't seem to. It doesn't, and it's weird to me that you don't seem to get that you're at odds with the spirit of what the gospel teaches. Because if
no, I'm not
to hear you tell it, I mean, to hear you tell it, Jesus would have us pay for the ambulance,
he gave us a part of the Good Samaritan, and the Good Samaritan took care of the man, okay? And the Good Samaritan took money out of
but that's different. But that's different. Yeah, but that's different.
He didn't appeal to government.
But that's a hotel. I mean, oh come on, man. but you were talking about a hotel here. I mean, he paid for the
medical expense.
I wouldn't call it medical expense. It's more accommodation.
It was medical because he paid the man.
So you're saying,
he paid the man
Gregory, I'm going to have to go to a break. But you're saying that based on that, healthcare should be, you should have to have healthcare. You should lose your house. You should lose your house because you have cancer and you have to do chemotherapy for 18 months. That's what you're saying.
No, Trevor. If things are done the Bible way, things will be so cheap that even the poorest among us would be able to afford the best in life. That is why you say you are setting what I am saying
so
in context of how
and also you agree people should have to set up GoFundMes to get medical equipment or be going around with
Those are private things. Those are good private things.
No,
those are good. But what I'm saying, Trevor, what I'm saying is that if God, okay, for example, in the Bible, taxes are voluntary, okay? If when you follow God's instructions, in following God's instructions, taxes are voluntary, okay? Now, what I'm saying is, and not only that, but the economy is a free market capitalist economy as well, following God's instructions. And all I'm saying is that in that context, things will be very cheap. Institutions and people individually and so on will be contributing a whole lot more to charity. Not only that, but the cost of living would be continually lowering instead of increasing when you do it the Bible way. So when it comes to medical care and those sort of stuff, like in the early in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and so in America, instead of medical costs going up, medical costs was going down until when government stepped in and skewed everything with the medical care and Medicaid and a load of government regulations and all that sort of stuff, price control of medicine and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, Gregory, I have to take a break. So I'm gonna have to take a break here. It's 11:53. Let's.
Okay, Johnston.
Okay.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Magnum, my brand. Everybody put your Magnum in the air now. From you a drink Magnum, make me see. Take charge of things now your place now. From the river to the beach to the street. Hot Magnum when me have in me hand there. He are a sipper, she tell me sweet. Look for me watch for your quick time check. Yeah. Right now a Magnum for your beat. Enjoy yourself every day of the week with a Magnum. My life I forget sweeter. Must be 18 years and older to drink responsibly.
If you think the TDC 10 sale at Home and Building was massive, then we have another one for you. TDC Automotive Division in St. Kitts is having a massive spare parts sale. This and every Friday until June 28th, 2024. Not 50 or 60 or 70, but up to 85% off genuine spare parts. You heard me right. We got shocks, bearings, brakes, pads, belts, spark plugs, hoses, rods, horns, headlamps, mirrors, bulbs, and much more. Everything must go. Sorry, I'm so tired. This and every Friday until June 28th, 2024. Go to TDC Automotive Division at the C.A. Paul Southwood Industrial Site in St. Kitts for this massive spare parts sale. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details. Remember, at TDC, together we succeed.
Floor stands with West Indies fans behind We Cricket. Be a part of the excitement when you sign up for any broadband or postpaid plan and get a chance to win a trip for two to an ICC Men's T20 World Cup match in Antigua. Get 2 chances if you sign up for both. Visit discoverflow.co to sign up or upgrade. Promotion ends June 15th. Terms and conditions apply. Flow, official telecom supporter of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup.
And I am back. It's 11:55. That's 5 minutes until news time. And here we go. Here goes the phone. Call, go right ahead. Voices.
Yeah, Jamster.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Greg with certain things he does say. But I think Greg need a program on Win FM. A whole program for himself. And I will help him to sponsor that. But anyway, the parable is right. The guy Jeremiah Louis, he only get on there because one, the player sick. And you know what the parable say? The death of a wealth is promotion to a soldier crab. So if that player was sick, Jeremiah will have been still there. And they're watching Jeremiah with wooden spectacles. Now, in the news, we know that Kenya government in Africa, they send them 400 policemen to Haiti to help make peace in there. Well, the 400 policemen from Kenya, they're all black. And they're going to Haiti to help control the black them with the negative violence, what they're doing. Well, I wonder if anybody can criticize now and say that is the white man them send the black police them up in Haiti to spread whatever disease or do whatever negative things. People will say. Because 2010 earthquake, 2007 Haiti had the terrible earthquake, and Americans went in there to help. They were accused of carrying all kind of disease and all kind of foolishness. They were accused of. When we all know when any disaster, especially in the Caribbean, the first country to give assistance is America. And nobody are not perfect. Not one man on this earth here never sinned. All have sinned and come short of the glory. So when people come point finger at hate at white people and say, oh, white people gone in there, America gone in there, go mash up the black people them in Haiti. It's black police now gone in there, 400 of them. And they gone in there to make peace with the black brothers and there. So therefore, when people talking about a lot of things, I agree with Greg. Look at themselves first before they could point on others. Jeremiah only get that job, get that pick because the other cricketer, he got sick. When a Wilkes dead, that's a promotion to a soldier crab. Thanks for listening.
Okay. All right. 2 minutes until news time. But the question I wanted to, one of the questions I wanted to throw there is, now that Jeremiah Louis, the older brother, he's 28 years old from what I saw, should he be extended the same celebratory courtesies that were extended to Mikhail Louis? I know that the minister awarded Mikhail $10,000, and I think they've also furnished him with a piece of land, which is nice. I thought that's a nice gesture. So and they've also named they're planning to name, I think it's the Southern Stand after Michael Louis. Someone was saying they should name this stand after the two of them. One, that's very awkward. It sounds very awkward saying the Michael and Jeremiah Louis stand. That doesn't sound right. And also Michael is the first, so that's fine. I think he should be afforded that honor. But I'm wondering, should we also... I don't think it would hurt to name something after Jeremiah Louis as well, right? Like, I don't know. I was just tossing out some things to Biff last night. Like I was saying, Biff has his sports talk show on Tuesday nights from 7 to 9 on the ball. I was saying, well, just for argument's sake, I was saying, okay, why not name, maybe you can name maybe a stand at the Connery Cricket Field or name the whole facility after him. I don't know. I'm just trying out ideas. But I still think it's a pretty momentous time in our history where we've gone 96 years to hear one of the selectors, to hear Carlisle Powell from the former vice president of the Leeward Islands Cricket Association tell it. We've gone 96 years without a petition being on the West Indies team, and now we have two brothers, and then the ironic thing is that the two brothers were actually there was a campaign on to have the two of them selected from the very beginning. So in a strange way, you could say the selectors and all the advocates for picking the Louis brothers were right, because Kemar Roach got injured, and they ended up picking Jeremiah Louis. So we now have two Louis brothers on the West Indies team. So I think this is the point now where I'm going to go head off and do the news, the headline news. And I'm going to be back right after the WINNFM headline news. But we'll continue the discussion on anything that you want to talk about when we come back. So here comes the WINNFM headline news.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Dalil Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts. It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With the WINNFM Midday News, I am Kevon Brown. Our top stories.
St. Kitts and Nevis implements temporary tax relief on air cooling devices. OECS addresses U.S. decision to maintain Cuba on state sponsor of terrorism list. St. Lucia's investment minister standing firm on citizenship by investment program issue. Guyana's People's National Congress moves ahead with plans to hold delegates Congress and elections. Internationally, Kenya's president addresses a nation after 5 killed in protests.
Now the details.
The Federal Cabinet of St. Kitts and Nevis has approved a temporary tax relief on air cooling devices effective from July 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2024. The initiative aims to assist residents during periods of high temperatures exacerbated by climate change. During the specified period, eligible air cooling devices, including air conditioning units with a British thermal unit strength of 24,000 or less, various types of fans, and evaporative coolers, will be exempt from import duty, value-added tax, and customs service charge. Prime Minister the Honourable Dr. Terence Drew highlighted the health risks associated with high temperatures, which include heat-related illnesses like heat exhaustion and heat stroke, especially for vulnerable groups such as the elderly and young children. Dr. Drew said high temperatures in homes, schools, and workplaces can pose health risks, and the tax relief aims to provide practical support to help citizens manage during the hotter months. The tax relief applies universally to both commercial and non-commercial importers, ensuring broad access to affordable air cooling solutions across the islands. However, it does not cover parts associated with these devices. To encourage energy efficiency, the government recommends choosing energy-efficient air cooling devices and unplugging them when not in use to reduce energy consumption and lower electricity bills. The temporary tax relief on air cooling devices reflects the government's commitment to supporting public health and enhancing resilience to climate challenges, while alleviating the impact of heat waves and contributing to long-term climate adaptation efforts in St. Kitts and Nevis. For more information on eligible air cooling devices and inquiries regarding the AC tax relief, individuals can contact the Customs and Excise Department at 466-7227 or visit the official website skncustoms.com. The Organization of Eastern Caribbean States has issued a statement regarding the United States' decision to continue listing the Republic of Cuba as a state sponsor of terrorism, SSOT. The OECS notes the U.S. government's recent decision to remove Cuba from its list of states not cooperating fully with anti-terrorism efforts. However, it expresses concern over the ongoing inclusion of Cuba on the SSOT list, describing the accusations as unsubstantiated. The statement reads, the OECS expresses its concern with the decision of the United States government and questions the basis of these accusations. The OECS points out the significant impact of the SSOT designation on the Cuban people, noting that it contributes to hardship and suffering. The organization calls on the U.S. government to reconsider its position and remove Cuba from the SSOT list. The OECS reaffirms its stance against the 62-year-old economic, commercial, and financial embargo imposed by the United States on Cuba. The organization views both the embargo and the SSOT designation as measures that should be reviewed to potentially bring relief to the Cuban people. The OECS expresses its support to the government and the people of Cuba. The OECS, comprising several Eastern Caribbean nations, continues to advocate for the well-being of the Cuban people and urges international reconsideration of measures affecting them.
In regional news,
St. Lucia's investment minister standing firm on citizenship by investment program issue. DBS St. Lucia has the details.
This is political panic. The fear that St. Lucians will have a better life through the CIP.
That was Investment Minister Dr. Ernest Ile at Monday's pre-cabinet media briefing, fielding questions on allegations of impropriety in the citizenship by investment program. The first time speaking with the media since his June 12 address to the nation, addressing the claims arising from a RICO lawsuit filed by MSR Media head Philip Martinez. The investment minister, who was initially named as a conspirator, is expected to be added as a defendant in the lawsuit, which alleges a discounting scheme related to the CIPs in St. Kitts and St. Lucia. Dr. Hiller maintains that the dealings between Caribbean Galaxy and the Citizenship by Investment Unit have been above board.
As far as the unit knows, Galaxy has done nothing wrong in relation to the program.
The same, however, cannot be said for the opposition UWP, Dr. Hiller claims.
If the opposition really pushes it, I will share with you what I found out as to who may have started enterprise in St. Lucia. And I'll tell you, just guess who was the person.
But do you have to wait for the opposition?
Well, you see, it would really undermine, again, a lot of... We don't want to go down that road. But if we have to, I will explain to you. Because right now we are seeing, for every donation to the last government, how much money went to the National Economic Fund.
Dr. Hiller maintains that the allegations of corruption in the CIP is a conspiracy concocted by the UWP and MSR Media. Meanwhile, St. Lucia has now joined Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis in signing a memorandum of agreement which will govern their collective citizenship by investment programs. The agreement takes effect from July 1st, 2024, and will see all signatory countries setting their citizenship by investment option at $200,000. Any attempt to discount the agreed minimum price is illegal. For the DBS News World, I am Zane Romulus.
Guyana's People's National Congress moves ahead with plans to hold delegates' Congress and elections. Guyana News Source reports.
One day after the sudden resignation of the General Secretary of the People's National Congress, Reformed Dawn Hastings Williams, the party is moving full steam ahead with the preparations for its 22nd Biennial Delegates Congress and elections, with the incumbent leader Aubrey Norton promising an open and transparent election this weekend. In a shocking move coming days before the Congress, Hastings Williams tendered her resignation as the General Secretary of the PNC on Monday, citing a number of reasons, including lack of sufficient time to prepare for this weekend's Congress, concerns over the credibility of the party's membership list heading into the elections, and the lack of financial accountability, as well as attempts to undermine her role as the General Secretary. However, in an interview today with News Source, the PNC Reform leader Aubrey Norton, who is seeking re-election, said the party had more than enough time to prepare for the Congress and elections.
And I want to say to you that even at the elections, it will be transparent and open, and it will stand the scrutiny of anyone who is not biased. Of course, there will always be people who want to say it wasn't, but any objective person will see open, transparent elections. The votes, according to the returning officer, will be cast in the clear view of all, and they will be counted in the clear view of all.
In her resignation letter, Mrs. Hastings Williams also said the issue of membership remains of grave concern, while explaining that following her appointment last year, she was informed that an external drive with all the information on the general membership of the party was removed, and that the software on the computer had crashed. She said although the computer was eventually fixed in late April or early May, the computer CPU was removed from the department without her permission. And there are also now allegations that the list is inconsistent with those held by party groups. But Norton maintains that the list is credible.
The list will be credible. Each party group is entitled to check the list. They are doing that now, and to be clear as to how many delegates they have. All of that is being done. That's in the possession of groups, etc. So I don't think the credibility of the list will be in question.
According to the PNC reform leader, based on the membership list, approximately 1,200 delegates are expected to attend the Congress, including 30 delegates from the U.S., Canada, and England chapters. Another issue raised by Hastings Williams was that of finance. She complained that after more than a year in office, she was unable to present a single financial statement to the Central Executive Committee of the party because she was not allowed any access to the weekly or monthly income and expenditure statements. In January last year, the party's then treasurer, Fayaz Mursaleen, had also resigned over concerns of financial accountability in the party. While brushing aside the concerns raised, Norton said all is well with the party's finances, while he dodged questions as to why the General Secretary did not have access to the party's financial statements.
There is no issue as it relates to accountability. Finances come to the party, they go to a bank account or to the finance people, and every spending has an invoice. We did an audit on some of the things recently, and at the end of this, we will have a complete audit of the party accounts. What we're not prepared to do is to put it in the public domain.
The resignation of the General Secretary comes less than 1 week after the party was rocked with an allegation of an alleged threat of sexual assault against Norton by a long-standing member of the party, Vanessa Kissoon, an issue Norton said he was not prepared to address today.
I'm not prepared to discuss the Vanessa Kissoon matter. I have agreed with the elders of the party that they will deal with it, and when the investigation is over, that's it. I am not going to discuss that.
We were asked to perform this daunting and difficult task just a few hours ago, and did not and will not, until there was an appropriate arrangement, speak to any of the apparently contending parties. But for what I have heard, we really can be facing a story written by George Orwell. And we may be going through the twists and turns of a typical Orwellian drama.
But while recent developments within the party have raised more than just an eyebrow, Norton, who is confident of re-election, said notwithstanding the challenges, he is confident that the party's base remains unified. According to him, since his election to office, the party has made some progress.
We lost votes in Region 6. We have functioning committees in all of Region 6. On the East Bank in the last election, we didn't have functioning groups. We now have functioning groups on the East Bank. We didn't have one group in Grove. We got 3 now. So I don't know what is meant by the party is falling apart.
Mr. Norton said following this weekend's Congress and elections, the party will continue to mobilize as it prepares for the next general and regional elections due next year.
We now bring you these international reports.
To Kenya now, where the country's president, William Ruto, has accused what he called criminals of hijacking mass protests against tax rises. 5 people were shot dead by police after demonstrators broke through cordons and entered the parliament on Tuesday. Parts of the building were set on fire. The military has been deployed to try and restore order. Well, let's speak to our senior Africa correspondent, Anne Soy, who's in Nairobi for us. And Anne, just describe the mood there in Kenya following those developments on Tuesday.
There's a lot of anger and tension in different parts of the country as people begin to take stock of what happened yesterday. There was, a lot of a support for the protesters who went out to protest, not just in Nairobi, but in different towns and cities across the country, including the president's own hometown of Eldoret. And the fact that they were met yet again with brutal force from the police, and now the military has been deployed by government. We do not know where exactly. that has only exacerbated the feeling of anger by people in Kenya, and they're asking, has the constitution been suspended? Is this right to deploy the military against the people? And therefore they have vowed to continue with their picketing. The president you mentioned there did speak about the protest, and he claimed that criminal elements had infiltrated what were otherwise legitimate protests that are protected by the law in Kenya. And he said that he will provide a full, effective and expeditious response to what he termed as treasonous events. So striking a very defiant note there, Catherine.
And Anne, what happens next with the finance bill? At the moment, Parliament has passed it. Will the president reconsider signing it into law?
Well, following his tone during that address to the nation at night, there's little hope that he will refer this back to Parliament, where it could be amended or shut down altogether. He said that the government will continue with its constitutional mandate, indicating that it's very likely that he's going to assent to this bill and make it law. There was also the appropriations bill, which is basically the budget of the country, which was debated yesterday and proceeded to the next stage in Parliament, and they resumed this morning to continue with the debate.
Anne, thank you. That's our senior Africa correspondent, Anne Soy, in Nairobi. Well, let's stay in Nairobi and speak to Nanjala Nyambola. She's a writer and political analyst. Thank you for joining us on the program. Nanjala, what are your thoughts reflecting on those protests in Nairobi and the response from security forces?
I think that the protests are a culmination of several years of disenfranchisement with the government. I think it's really helpful to think about this as in the context of the country's recent history. This is a very relatively young country. 60% of the country's population is below the age of 35. So we expected to see less many young people in the streets, sort of in part of the protests. But it's an unhappiness that comes from several years of economic and political frustration. And specifically this finance bill that was passed under very complicated circumstances, almost forced through the legislature, despite the fact that there was this massive indication of unhappiness from the public. So I look at these images with sadness. Obviously, as a Kenyan, the loss of life, the unexpected loss of life is very devastating, and on significant concern about sort of this break in communication between the government and the people.
And in many ways, Nanjala, these are unprecedented scenes in Nairobi, these protests. It looks like the president will go ahead and sign this legislation into law. What do you think happens next?
Well, I should say that it's really important to pay attention to the fact that this is not just a Nairobi protest, and this is part of the reason why the government is so rattled. I think there was heavy-handed policing in Nairobi, and there was obviously an excess action from the side of the protesters. We've never seen people sort of breach the cordon of Parliament. Parliament is one of the most securitized areas in the country. But I think the thing that has the government very rattled right now is the fact that these were nationwide protests, and protests were recorded in at least 20 different counties, according to human rights groups. And that's the thing that we really have to pay attention to. This is a national indication of anger. And so should the president assent to the bill, despite the fact that so many people across the country have indicated that they are unhappy with it, I think it would be signaling, very poor signaling to the people that the government is going to act despite the fact there is public anger and public frustration. I think that would be something that the legislature needs to think about, as the people who are supposed to be the link between the people and the executive. That's also a key part of this puzzle, that the president hasn't actually passed the bill yet. Everything that's happened so far has been happening at the level of Parliament. And I think that's the part that also needs to be looked carefully, because we've seen more direct confrontation with parliamentarians. We've seen people sort of going to parliamentarians' homes, to their offices in different parts of the country. And should Parliament continue, the bill has gone through the third reading. Should it go through this next stage to the president, then it would have indicated that Parliament has really gone against the wishes of the people. And that is something that I'm paying attention to with a great deal of concern.
And Nanjala, it's difficult to escape the fact that Kenya finds itself in a difficult financial position. It's had to be bailed out by international finance organizations like the IMF. They're calling for tax rises to boost revenue collection. What do you think the role is for Kenya's international partners, particularly the United States, which is a close ally of President Ruto?
The challenge that the Kenyan government faces is a big chunk of the debt that is sort of looming over the government isn't from the United States, it's not from the West, it's actually from China. And there's a significant amount of borrowing that happened towards the end of the previous administration in order to fund large infrastructure projects that were really, again, part of this break between the public and the government, because there was a significant amount of resistance to these projects, to the new highway, to the new railway, to the port in Lamu. There was a significant amount of resistance because analysts and experts said to the government that the country cannot afford these projects. Part of the challenge that we're facing is that the Chinese government isn't necessarily as forthcoming with debt forgiveness as other parts of the world. And that's really part of the tension that the government is facing here, that they have to sort of meet these financial obligations. I think one of the things that Professor Wangari Maathai, who is Kenyan Nobel Prize winner, pointed out is that unfortunately the way debt is structured is that governments take on the debt and ordinary people have to pay it off. And this is really the friction that we're seeing in Kenya, is not that is that ordinary people are being asked to go deeper to sort of pay more, despite the fact that they're still recovering from the COVID pandemic, they're still recovering from the economic upheaval, global economic upheaval of the last 12 months, still recovering from the upheaval, international economic upheaval caused by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. There's all of these contextual crises that are happening in the background, and here come this, great raft of tax measures to pay off a debt that the public said the government shouldn't have taken in the first place, but the government ignored the public resistance to them in the first place. So it's this contextual crisis of governance, of leadership, in which this break between elected officials and ordinary people is manifesting as protest that's being over-policed, that's being overly the resistance from the government is completely unprecedented. And I think what will be important to pay attention to next is, will Kenyan elected officials actually listen to what Kenyan people are saying?
WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange walked free on Wednesday from a court on the U.S. territory of Saipan after pleading guilty to violating U.S. espionage law. It ends a years-long battle to avoid prison in the United States. After his hearing, he left without answering questions to the media. He waved as he got into a white SUV, which took him to a private jet waiting to fly him to Australia. In the 3-hour hearing, Assange pleaded guilty to a count of conspiring to obtain and disclose classified national defense documents. His media group released the largest leak in U.S. military history in 2010. Tens of thousands of classified military files detailing the U.S. war in Afghanistan and Iraq, and thousands of diplomatic cables. Assange told the court, quote, "Working as a journalist, I encouraged my source to provide information that was said to be classified in order to publish that information, and that I believed the First Amendment protected that activity, but I accept that it was a violation of the espionage statute." Washington has said the release of the secret documents put lives in danger. On Wednesday, Chief U.S. District Judge Ramona V. Manglona accepted his guilty plea and released him due to time already served in a British jail. One of Assange's lawyers, Barry Pollock, spoke after the hearing.
We firmly believe that Mr. Assange never should have been charged under the Espionage Act. It is appropriate for the judge, as she did today, to determine that no additional incarceration of Mr. Assange would be fair, would be appropriate, and it is time for him to be reunited with his family.
Assange had spent over 5 years in one of Britain's toughest prisons, battling extradition to the US, and prior to that, 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, as he fought sex crimes accusations in Sweden. While in the Ecuadorian embassy, Assange had 2 sons with his partner Stella, who had been one of his lawyers. The Australian government has been calling for Julian Assange's release, with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese telling the Australian Parliament Wednesday his case had dragged on for too long.
The American journalist Evan Gershkovich has gone on trial at a Russian court accused of spying. Ahead of the start of proceedings, the media were allowed into the courtroom to see him briefly. The hearings are taking place in Yekaterinburg, the city in the Urals, where he was arrested last March. Moscow has accused the Wall Street Journal reporter of collecting secret information from a Russian tank factory on behalf of the CIA. He denies all of the charges. Well, earlier, our Russia editor Steve Rosenberg gave us this update.
So the trial has begun, and just before the start of proceedings, media were allowed into a courtroom to see Evan Gershkovich. We were part of that group. He was standing in the metal and glass cage that's known as the aquarium in Russian courtrooms, head shaven, wearing a check shirt and jeans. He was smiling to cameras, but clearly this is going to be a difficult time for him. The trial will be held behind closed doors, so we won't get in again to see him until the end of it. And behind closed doors means that family members won't be able to attend, US diplomats won't be able to go in, the media won't be able to go in. As you mentioned, prosecutors accuse him of being a spy, spying for the CIA. Now, Mr. Gershkovich, his employer, the Wall Street Journal, the US government, vehemently deny that. He was an accredited foreign correspondent in Moscow. He was on a reporting assignment in Yekaterinburg last year when he was arrested. It's clear that there have been contacts between the United States and Russia over a possible prisoner exchange. We don't know the status of those contacts, what stage they are. President Putin has indicated he would be open to some kind of prisoner swap, and he knows, the Russians know very well, that the Americans are up for doing deals when it comes to getting their citizens home. We saw it back in 2022 when America agreed to release a convicted Russian arms dealer, Victor Bout, in order to release Brittany Griner, the American basketball star, who was in a Russian jail on drugs charges. So, yeah, there is an expectation, perhaps, that this could lead to that. When that would happen, we have no idea. The Kremlin said recently that contacts have been made, but has called for silence, for these kind of discussions to take place between intelligence agencies in silence.
Steve Rosenberg. Let's speak to Gráinne McCarthy, the Wall Street Journal Chief Digital Editor International, who's been spearheading the paper's campaign for Evan's release. Gráinne, thank you very much for joining us. How do you regard these proceedings, which are taking place without any support available for Evan?
Yes, good morning. I think we should say clearly and unequivocally that this is a sham trial. This is based on a false accusation against Evan, who is a journalist. He was fully accredited by Russia's foreign ministry to report in Russia. He is a very good journalist. He's steeped in the Russian culture. And in Vladimir Putin's Russia, he appears to be making journalism a crime. Evan, on Saturday, will have been locked up by Russian authorities for 15 months. That's 15 months of his life that has been taken from him simply for doing his job.
He knows Russia extremely well. So how aware will he have been of the potential risks of something like this occurring?
I think very aware. As I say, he's a very good journalist, and he has covered this. I mean, as Steve's reporting alluded to just now, he covered the Brittany Griner case. He has been living and working in Russia, although when he was actually arrested, he was living in London and going in and out of Russia on assignment. But he grew up in a family of Soviet emigres to the United States, who's born and raised in New Jersey, grew up speaking Russian, and he has always been fascinated by Russian culture. And that's why he ended up moving to Russia, working for various different news organizations before ultimately joining the Wall Street Journal in 2022. So the irony of this all is that Evan will have a very, very good idea of the playbook that Vladimir Putin is using here.
What do you think the options are for getting his release?
I mean, we remain optimistic that Evan will get out as soon as possible. We hoped that we wouldn't come to this point of Evan having to be subjected to this sham trial. He has already been subjected to so much during these 15 months of captivity. But our only hope is that this will further increase the pressure on the US government, the Biden administration, to secure Evan's release. We know that President Putin has alluded to being willing and open to doing a deal for Evan and to conversations that the Russians say are happening in secret. So my only hope is that these can reach fruition quickly. Our only priority, our only goal, this is something that's binary. He's either free or he's not. Our only goal is for Evan to come home as soon as possible.
You were listening to the Midday News on WINNFM 98.9. The headlines?
St. Kitts and Nevis implements temporary tax relief on air cooling devices. OECS addresses U.S. decision to maintain Cuba on state sponsor of terrorism list. St. Lucia's investment minister standing firm on citizenship by investment program issue. Guyana's People's National Congress moves ahead with plans to hold delegates Congress and elections. Internationally, Kenya's president addresses a nation after 5 killed in protests.
Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
When it comes to the important things in life, your health, your education, your choice of a life partner, and of course your insurance provider, only the best will do. Caribbean Alliance Insurance is the only insurance company in the Eastern Caribbean with an A excellent rating. We have a robust 3-tier reinsurance strategy that protects our policyholders from multiple catastrophes, even if they occur in quick succession. We spread our risks over 18 territories, ensuring minimal impact to individual territories when a disaster strikes. We provide an excellent claims experience. Claim settlement is usually between 24 to 48 hours. Our A excellent rating means that you are more secure with us. Contact us for motor, property, marine, public liability, employer's liability, and other policies. Delisle Walwyn, people you can trust. Local agent for Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tomorrow secured.
Found the sound. 99.9. WINNFM.
It's 12:37 now. We just completed the WINNFM Midday News, the headlines. And it's now time to get into the concluding half of Voices, brought to you by Hospital. We'll get a word from our sponsor and we'll come back.
Are you ready to make your pipe dreams a reality? It's time to dive into savings at Hortford's Building and Nevis Centers with our Pipe Dreams Plumbing Sale. For the entire month of June, enjoy an incredible 25% off on all plumbing items. Yes, you heard right, 25% off. Faucets, sinks, pipes, and more. Don't let your dreams stay on hold any longer. Upgrade your home with top quality plumbing products at unbeatable prices. Whether you're a DIY enthusiast or a seasoned contractor, now is the time to turn your pipe dreams into reality. Visit Hortford's Building and Nevis Centers today. But hurry, this dreamy offer ends with June. Make the most of your home improvement aspirations with our Pipe Dreams Plumbing Sale. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
And so we are back on the concluding half of Voices. There was a story I had wanted to make. It was actually on the news. The Prime Minister has announced some concessions, some VAT concessions and so on. And I think it's noteworthy that this has been extended to cooling devices like air conditioners and fans and so on. This is part of the Labour government's move to provide concessionary dates, not just not just during December, but I guess you could say twice a year. I'm just trying to find a story here. So we had concessionary dates. It seems as though this app is down because I'm not getting any stories coming up whatsoever. So I don't know what's going on. Okay. But I'm gonna see if I find it somewhere. Elsewhere, that is. So let's see. The government has announced these dates, and also the concessions on things like we all know it's getting progressively hotter as time goes on. I mean, each successive year in the last 5 years has broken heat records, and there doesn't seem to be an end in sight. And especially if you've been following current events and so on, and the advent of global warming and climate change and all that, this would not be lost in you. So I think it's a great development that you can get air conditioners and other cooling devices VAT free and so on. Caller, go right ahead.
Good afternoon, Jamster.
Hey, good afternoon. What's up?
About the selection of Jeremiah Louis. It shows that we should be perhaps not too quick to jump the gun in the first place. I think perhaps, yes, of course, you should highlight the fact that it's the first, that his brother was the first. But the first what? The first for being nominated to the West Indies team, right? Because they both are. So what it seems like we may have to do is named Stan, just Louis Stan, without being specific to the first name. Okay. I think it was a good gesture for the $10,000 to be given for preparation. And I think the second brother should be given that same. Anybody who gets selected, I think, should be given that amount to help with the preparation.
I agree.
Okay.
The thing though, $10,000. I love the thought, and I don't want anyone to come for me and say we can't. $10,000 is really not a lot of money, but the thought is what counts.
Yes.
But they have to start somewhere, and I get it.
And I still say too that really and truly, we should pay more attention to rewarding successful tenure on the West Indies team as opposed to just this election. Okay, so we all wish him well, but suppose he doesn't perform.
Yes, actually, someone sent me a voice note to that effect during the news, and I was listening to it, and I said, "Yeah, I told him he makes a good point." But I mean, they've been performing all along, haven't they? I mean, yes, I know you can perform until you don't.
Level, huh?
I know you can perform until you don't, but something tells me that they'll be fine.
Yeah, I suspect so. To get to this point shows that there's talent and some discipline. So I'd be surprised if they don't do well. But you remember, this is at a different level. You're not performing against your peers at home, but against the best of other countries, and so it's that.
But that could have been said for all the other people who have been selected from all the other islands, even islands, Anguilla, and
that's true.
Yeah, and
that's exactly true.
Yeah, and who've gone on to perform.
I would expect, I would expect that they will face similar pressures, and so they should, this is going to be the test. This is really going to be the test.
But also, I discovered that Jeremiah Louis, apparently he plays in England every year, or at least in the recent past, and he is apparently in England for county cricket at the moment.
Okay, so
that probably solves some logistical considerations for the West Indies cricket people.
But I mean, there's of course the general question of how do we reward our athletes and our entertainment people and so on generally, and just to be consistent, I think we need some kind of a policy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Can I make an intervention?
Yeah, go ahead.
I listened this morning to an island tea, to the exchange with Azad. Okay, and while you see, I can see the points made by both sides of that argument, right? The fact is, we have been treated in the past to a lot of deception in our politics. And that being the case, you can't help but think, oh my goodness, is this deja vu? Is it going to be the same thing all over again when you hear these rumors flying left, right, and center? And the thing is, they deny it until they can't deny it anymore. And so I think it is, in fact, you can't just ignore these things. Okay, I agree that they should be verified, but if the people who can verify them are not talking, there will be speculation, right? And I agree the pendulum can swing too far. You can jump the gun with this and pick up any story from anywhere and broadcast it. But you can bet your life if the pendulum goes too far, it's going to swing back. Okay, and there'll be backlash. So there's always there's always room to discuss these things in light of past political environment, okay, and in light of what has been happening, for instance, with the what you call them? What would you call them? Suggestions that all is not well in the party, in the governing Labour Party, right? I think honestly, those things are distractions. By now, whatever dysfunction or factionalization should have been dealt with, so that they don't become a hindrance to national development, right? Because I can't see us going through 5 years of this Cold War, if you want to call it, between the different factions in the party.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I think it should be dealt with and gotten over with. I'd be very surprised too, just like the caller had said, if Dr. Douglas was served notice in Parliament. I mean, sorry, not Parliament, in Cabinet. You know, that is almost unheard of, and I can't see.
I can't see that happening.
It seems kind of way out. If that happened, I mean, that's no longer a Cold War. That's open warfare as far as I'm concerned.
And
that really happened.
And
so
whoever thought that it was a good idea to seize on that as some kind of propaganda. I mean, let's say oppositional propaganda cudgel. Just I don't know. I think it was Dwyer who made the point this morning too that I mean there could have been other things. I mean I had actually wanted to start off with the cricket thing, you know, and the next thing that I mean, oh boy.
But I'm saying though that as I understandably would have jumped at that, but at the same time. You can't ignore these things, again, I said, based on what has happened in the past.
Of course not, yeah.
Right? That's the thing. And especially, too, interestingly enough, it came on the same day as there's a discussion of that on the same day as you have the Julian Assange release, you know, which has been postured as an attack on press freedom generally, and the public's right to know. You know, that's the long and short of it, you know.
But you know, with Snowden and Assange, right? I'm sorry, you know. I feel like there's certain contexts where that just doesn't fly. I feel like Snowden should get the death sentence. I'm sorry.
Snowden?
You don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm hardcore when it comes to that stuff. I don't care what the government is doing. You don't do that to your country. I'm sorry.
No. Oh,
I feel.
I
mean,
see,
you know.
I feel that generally speaking,
because I don't think it's because he's such a conscientious and he's so conscientious and so loves the American people and all that, and so loves his country.
Okay, yeah.
I think he was looking notoriety.
You know, it's not so much the motive. The thing is, what we have to maintain a healthy mistrust.
No, I agree.
Ordinary people holding excessive power, right? Because they tend to abuse it, right? And so, especially with state power, you know, you can do all sorts of things and get away with it, and have all kinds of consequences. I am very skeptical of just giving people wielding power like that a pass, because, like I said, it's not everybody can handle power, you know.
But
right?
neither,
And
but
the
neither,
tendency
but
is,
neither should the whistleblowers be given a pass either.
well, whistleblowers.
I
Right?
mean, listen, this guy is entrusted. I mean, Snowden used to work with, he used to work for the CIA. I think one of their subcontractors or something like that.
Right.
And I'm sorry. Okay, maybe not the death penalty, but I don't know.
So what he has released is not important, because you see, look how many countries have.
But didn't we know? But didn't we kind of know a lot of that
something
stuff?
illegal.
But
You're
we
saying
kind
that
of.
it should not.
Well, yeah, no, well, that's a little different. But I mean, some of the stuff that we kind of knew that this stuff was going on already, and if you put some of that stuff in context, you could understand why some of that's, not saying that it's right, but a lot of the things you have to do in statecraft, a lot of it is just stuff. A lot of stuff you have to do. You just have to hold your nose and do it. It's not because it's right, but you have to be brutally pragmatic about certain things.
No, but that,
you know what I mean?
You see, this problem with that, though, Jamster. If you use that as an excuse in this case, you can use it.
Oh
to
my God! I
justify
sound like,
any
yeah,
amount
I know. I
of-
sound like, boy. I sound like I'm giving the politicians room to run wild. Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Because you can say, well, for instance, 1,000 Israelis died in the attack from Hamas, and so that justifies upwards of 40,000 Palestinians, most of them innocent, being killed, and say that, and then say, well, we're going after the terrorists, but all of them weren't terrorists. So that's what I'm saying, right? You have to draw the line somewhere, right? There is such a thing. At some point, right, there's a red line that should not be crossed, right? And if you're saying that whistleblowers should be punished, then
You consider Snowden a whistleblower?
Because he was working there, and no, I consider what I consider a whistleblower is somebody who sees something that is illegal or wrong and comes out publicly or with it. Okay. Now, if somebody does that for money or fame or something like that, that is a totally different.
I mean, isn't it kind of understood
fish,
that?
yeah?
Isn't it kind of understood that the intelligence / maybe national security agencies are expected to do? Oh God, this is gonna sound bad.
And they all do it, right? But that's it. But that's the whole point. So you're saying, how do you put a limit on that? How do you basically monitor that and have oversight over that? You can't have a national security apparatus, for instance, that has $80 billion plus dollars at its beck and call, just doing as it like without some kind of oversight. I mean, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes, we know those security, CIA, MI6 or whatever the thing is, Israel, Mossad, and whatever else. We know what they do. Okay. What makes them any different to what the Russians do, for instance? Should there be no moral high ground anywhere, that everybody just does what it wants?
I take the point, but you have to have some pragmatic carve outs somewhere, don't you think? I am not saying. You see, this sounds bad. This sounds bad.
Who decides what's pragmatic and what's not?
Boy, yeah, there's the rub, right? There's the rub.
Yeah, that's the whole point. And I prefer to err on the side of caution and have these people who wield substantial power, who are inclined to abuse it, and that's usually the case with people like politicians, nice and regular good fellows when they're outside of the office. But as soon as power, they realize the kind of power they have, it gets to their head, and they abuse it. And there should always be safeguards against that, and one of the safeguards against that is the press and leaking and all of that stuff. It might be bad stuff, but if it doesn't happen, worse stuff happens. And it's with that I view that exchange this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that it might have been a little, Azad might have been a little muscular in what that he read this report from this. Well, I wouldn't say it's an unknown source, but I don't even know if they're reliable or not. But it's something that could have been verified. Okay, that is what I would take exception with. The fact that
and he's
phone call might have verified whether in fact that happened before it's released to the public.
Yes.
Right? Because obviously, if it did happen, I mean that would be huge news. That would be a game changer, right? And you'd bet your life that there would be some kind of blowback, some kind of response, and so on. So I don't think. I just think probably it was a bit.
I'm just getting exhausted with all the political intrigues. I have to.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why I say it's a case of deja vu. It's too. To me, it does not help in nation building. The government has 5 years to perform. If it doesn't, well, we know what happens after the 5 years. But at the same time, right, there is this media blitz, and it's on both sides. It's on all sides. The government seem to feel that they can govern by media and communication. I don't think so. I believe in the final analysis, they have to show stuff, right? They have to perform. Otherwise, the people would feel it. You can't tell people how they feel, If people feeling the pinch, people feeling that thing's tight, you can't, there's no amount of media blitz from all sources, from whatever sources, that's going to change that. Okay, that's how the people feel, right? So I think the concentration should be on the performance, delivering what said you deliver, okay? And those actions will speak for themselves. You won't have to worry about trying to convince people who feel that, well, I was cheated out of $500. You won't have to convince them that they really weren't. If in fact that there are other things that show that people have been empowered, people are better off. The usual question: are you better off now than you were before? That is the question that is normally answered at the polls, and if the answer is yes, you're better off, the politicians are rewarded. If the answer is no, well, they're punished. In the finance, it's as simple as that. But this attempt to just media blitz the populace, I think, is going a bit too far. It's unnecessary. It's distracting, and it's. I don't know that it would work, to be quite honest. You notice, by the way, that the Kenyan president has backed down in the face of those protests. He said there won't be no tax increase. He heard the people, and there's not going to be a tax increase.
Yes.
So it just shows how activism can, in fact, produce results. You know, unfortunately, it took a couple of deaths to bring him to his senses, but that is why it is important for people to not just sit back and take stuff, but speak out and protest and bring change as well. You know?
So where is the famous where is the famous Kittitian division spirit of protest that gave us the Buckley's riots and which supposedly sparked similar uprisings throughout the Caribbean? Where is it now?
If that's the whole point.
I believe
if it gets to a point where it is felt that that is necessary, it would happen. Trust me, right? But
because I don't think
honestly,
we stand for anything, to be honest.
Huh?
We don't stand for anything.
No.
I think
I wouldn't put it
I
like
don't know
that.
if it's that we think we have too much to lose or whatever.
No, I think for one thing, you certainly can't compare the plight of people back then with what it is now.
True. I guess they had less
Right?
to lose.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. They had
less
less to lose. So we're more concerned with the trappings of
fair share.
yeah and all of that.
You
And,
know,
and
nobody likes when the differentials get too high, right? And then some people start to say, well, it's grudge, and you don't count your money, count other people's money, and those kinds of things. No. If there's a national pie, and it should be shared, not necessarily equally, but certainly in a equitable kind of manner. You know, no one elite group should benefit from the national pie. That's patently unfair. Okay, and usually there are consequences for that.
But also
some people want to convince us.
But there should be
some people deserve.
But there should be meritocracy.
50 times more than
There should be meritocracy applied to that, right? Because I don't think that there should be artificial, if you will, wealth redistribution, just for the sake of keeping people to stop people from pocket watching. I have an issue with that.
No.
I feel like
I wouldn't say no. I agree. There should be meritocracy.
I feel people
involved.
should work towards. I'm not saying. Obviously, the government is there to. Well, ideally, they're there to assist in terms of, let's say, helping create the optimal environment for, let's say, entrepreneurs and so on to thrive. But
right.
I am not a fan of let's say artificial let's call it artificial maybe artificial enrichment could work. I don't know.
How about affirmative action? In favor of that?
Well, let me hear you're going to modify that for this context.
Well, if there are a disadvantaged group in society, shouldn't we give them some way of getting out of it?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because you see, that's the thing, you know.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like the government,
the most fortunate among us, generally,
the government can grease.
They would bubble to the top anyway, you know.
But what I'm saying,
I think what most people are against, if you work hard, if you're in the private sector, for instance, and you work hard and so on, generally you reap good rewards. You have your own business, it develops well, and you reap a reward. Nobody begrudges that. Because you work for it, okay? But if your largest comes from something like, let's say, a political favor, or you're going to politics as a means of getting rich off the public purse. That's obnoxious, I think. I don't think
You're too
many
kind.
people like that.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
What are you saying? They should go to jail?
Obnoxious is a very soft word to describe that.
Yeah, you know.
As I'm concerned.
That's what I'm talking about, right? Everybody likes when somebody is successful on his own merit, her own merit, and really worked hard and deserve that. But you know, when you go there and you use public money to enrich family, friends, and
take for example,
and the kind of cronies and so on.
But take for example,
that's obnoxious.
This government, this heavy-handed government involvement in housing, I don't think it's the best approach. Like, they hear them crowing about, we're going to be building all these houses, which, by the way, this is 2.5 years into a term and nothing. But my point is, I feel like rather than the government necessarily building these houses, they should be creating an environment where maybe the public sector, or even the prospective homeowners, you make it easy for them to own a home rather than the government necessarily going in wholesale to build all these homes. I don't know.
No, there's not, again, this is where affirmative action comes in. There's nothing wrong in helping the group that is most disadvantaged in society, from having a decent home.
I agree, but all you have to do.
They are usually modest homes. They're not.
I mean, all you have to do is
anything.
have rent controls, robust checks and balances to make sure you don't have, to minimize corruption and maybe.
Well, the thing with rent, there's nothing like owning your own home. I mean that's
meaning
right?
Okay, I could see if the government can own, like, say, some apartment blocks and stuff like that, and maybe stuff that where they're renting or whatever. I'm just saying you can have
that. You realize that those things usually end up being slums, huh? There's nothing like owning your own home with your own little. It might be small, but piece of land.
I guess I used the wrong term when I said rent control, because I imagine the ideal thing would be very attractive mortgages. So, but I guess what I meant was attractive mortgage rates, not where you're paying, because some of the prices I've heard were kind of eye-raising to me. I'm like, really? Is that what some of these people are paying for?
I mean, and that's the whole point. So to me, if you, for instance, you follow the rules, you do well at school, or you do decently at school, you go away, you come back, you're supposed to be able to build your own house. And that I think one of the things we lose focus with. The object of government, the prime role of the government, I think, is to provide the environment for investment and opportunity, and get out of the way, right? Not to be dishing out the country largest.
That's the word. Get out of the way. Make the grease skids and get out of the way. Exactly.
Right. Provide the opportunities. I don't think. I think it's not so much. There's this idea that people feel too entitled. Well, where did that come from? Okay, it's because of government policies now and in the past. That caused this, right? That is where it comes from. So if anybody is supposed to be blamed, if anybody is supposed to be spoken to, it should be the government for not doing what they're supposed to do and providing. Nobody, well, I wouldn't say nobody, but very few people would not prefer to be providing for themselves. Right?
I agree.
If they get a decent paying job and they can fend for themselves, they wouldn't be running to the government.
That raises
they wouldn't.
That raises a question
because that is usually a demeaning thing. It's degrading to have to do that.
But let me ask you a question, because sometimes I think we're like a special case. But I was reading last night. I don't remember where I saw it. You know about universal basic income.
Right.
I was reading about this city, another city in the States that tried it, and they gave the figure. They were giving the numbers about giving the resulting statistics, where most of the people ended up getting jobs, they ended up getting a home. Some, like the homeless ones, and I've heard more than one story. I think it was Stockton, California, if I don't recall. They had a black mayor, and he implemented universal basic income, and the outcome was very good. And it actually seems counterintuitive. And I always wonder, because of the problem we have here with, for example, people who are on step, and you hear the stories about these people, they only work a few days a week, and they don't put in a full day's work, and these people don't want to work. They want to collect money, but they don't want to work. I always, when I read about these universal basic income experiments, and you hear how counterintuitively how well they went, where people actually went out and got jobs, not the opposite that you think would happen.
Right.
They actually you give them, and they because it gives them a sense of self-worth and all that.
Of course, exactly.
And I wonder.
I mean, this idea that people, as long as they can get something for free, they can just sit at home and do nothing.
Also, I think it's a cultural thing, because Americans tend to be very go-getter type people, and individualistic and proud. So maybe the cultural aspect is what is different, because I wonder if we did it on a large scale here, if that would even work.
Well, how you think the society at large would look at somebody who is just getting money and doing no work? I don't think they're going. I think they're going to frown on it. I think most societies, including ours, would frown on it. Right? Would I mean, one of the blowback against the peace program, for instance, was that these guys seem to be getting paid for behaving, right? And there's something inherently wrong with that. Okay? Right? What you want is for the society to be dynamic, fully, everybody integrated in, well socialized, integrated into society, have a job or a business, and being able to contribute to the success of the country in general. Okay? Anytime you have a group that is marginalized in any way, there's a problem. Okay? And that can come. It can come with whether it be criminal activity or with a family, for instance, that just cannot provide for themselves. I mean, that's a problem as well. Okay? And so these are things. Those are things which a government should be trying hard to eradicate. Okay?
Yeah.
And be less concerned with doling out public money and so on. You can't just, by the way, pull the rug from under people's feet. You can't. You should, at least you shouldn't. But there should definitely be a path out of poverty, a path out of the marginalization that is is public policy that everybody thinks is fair, and so it helps those, because everybody don't have the same ability. I mean, you can't do the communist thing about from each according to their ability, to each according to needs, or some foolishness like that. It just doesn't work. Human nature is not like that. Human nature is not as altruistic as that. Okay? So that won't work. But there should certainly be some way where marginalized people among us have some basic level of existence that is not demeaning. Okay? And they should be productive like anybody else. Okay? Not as anybody else, but at least like other people. Right? Because, you know, the nature of things is such that everybody don't have the same capacity.
I was here looking for the story I read yesterday because I wanted to read off somebody. They had a list of statistics of what happened after they paid the universal.
The thing with that, it would fundamentally change our system. So I'm not surprised if it turns out to be a success, but it's not adopted, because it takes a sea change in the mindset of people to adopt something like that.
What I think would be different is that I think there would be a lot of people, like to your point, a lot of people who just want to sit down and not work, as opposed to,
you think so?
Yeah, as opposed to being motivated to, hey, let me go out and really get a job, because this is great, and this affords me the means to, let's say, I have time to maybe go and get some nice clothes, sit down and write up some, you know, some application letters, and makes me feel,
you know, the faith in our people that they would seize the opportunity. You don't think? You really don't think so?
I don't know. I don't know, because I'm saying it based on knowing the mindset of North Americans, having lived among them, and knowing how.
Go get to the.
Yes, so there's that. Whereas I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing you have to admire about them. They can do kind of spirit. Generally speaking, they have that can do kind of thing about them that, you know.
Yeah, and I think
I guess that's why they're so. They're leading. They're one of the leading countries in the world.
Yeah.
But I think that is transferable to when we go up there, we do likewise, don't we?
What do you mean? Yeah, that's true. We fall in line Rome, right? When you're in Rome. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, for example.
So that shows that we do have the capacity to do likewise.
Absolutely, because for real.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's like sometimes we kind of allude to it on Traffic Talk, where you'd hear the officers of even me, where we say, well, how is it you can go to these other countries and you fall in line? You don't scoff. You don't go up there and scoff at the parking laws and the other traffic laws, and you just fall in line and you do what you have to do. But for some reason, it's the opposite here. So I think you're right, because I always see it. People go they go abroad to live, and they just fall into line, and sometimes end up doing better than the locals. You know.
Of course, part of it is patriotism too. One of the reasons, I mean, that Americans do so well too is because they consider themselves. It's kind of jingoistic, but they consider themselves the best nation in the world. No mind all the negatives that they have, right? And most Americans identify with that. I think we need to get to that place here at our island, as you know, a place that can be that shining light on the hill.
Another caller has joined you. Caller, go ahead. Join us. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, it's not everybody leave and come of America and do the same fall in line. Hello?
Yeah, of course.
Hello?
Of course, yeah.
Yes,
of course not.
It's not everybody, because I leave
Could you
St. Kitts
could you turn on
1985.
your radio, please, and listen? Just listen to the phone. Turn down the radio because I'm hearing it and it's causing, there's a delay.
Okay, it's much better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I leave St. Kitts 1985, and I never fall in line. I work in a facility for 27 years, so I didn't fall in line. I come out there and I leave St. Kitts. I come on a mission, and I work and I build my house back home. I don't want to send for it. All I pay the land tax.
No, what we
So
were
not
saying,
everybody.
fall in line is exactly what you were saying. You went and you did what you had to do to succeed.
Right.
Yeah, but then the problem is that the way how I understand is like, as really and truly, some people come up and fall in line. You understand? But I did not do that. I came up and I work. I joined a union, and I'm getting a pension and a good pension from Social Security and union. That's why I believe in union.
Okay.
And right now, I don't have to pay no kind of health benefit.
Sounds
No
good.
kind.
Right. So that is what we're hoping would happen to our citizens here as well, but that it can happen here on the island as opposed to going and building up another person's country, right? That the same kind of thrift and energy and
enterprise
patriotism is applied here to develop our island,
but some
as opposed to in the States.
Yeah, but sometimes some people leave their country just because some other person leaves. You understand? But
you could do the same thing down here without going to the States?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. Because you have a lot of opportunity when you're in St. Kitts. When you leave St. Kitts and you come on a mission, you see a lot of opportunities, and you try and you grab the opportunity. You try to grab the opportunity because when you leave St. Kitts, you know what you come for, what's your intention. But some people, because Jane leave, I can leave too. But you don't know what mission Jane leave on. You understand? That is the problem. A lot of people just come up here and farm in line, and you get your food stamp, you get this, and they have a lot of food banks out and everything. And you go and you get everything free.
You feel that is a lot of people, because I'm thinking, that if you're adventurous enough and enterprising enough to pack up and leave the country you're in and go to somewhere else, that it's a particular mindset. You're not going there to say you're going to get food stamps and be on the door.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
I am
Good
thinking
point.
that that's a very small minority who would actually do that, most people would like to go up there and succeed,
Exactly, and that's why I believe
I remember when we were having a lot of migration north, one of the things that people back here would say, people back here in the first place expect that when you migrate, when you go north, that you're going to come back better, right? And if you don't, you're regarded as a failure. So there's that additional pressure on you to succeed when you migrate.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that was a good. But I think she got a little mixed up with us because what she was saying, she did fall in line. Yeah, meaning you do what you have to do to succeed.
As opposed to joining the others who gonna take food stamps and be on the door and kind of
Okay. Okay. Look, I gotta go take a break.
Many of our people doing that. I doubt it. I very much doubt it.
Yeah, because
we look. I don't think we look. And that's the whole point. I don't think the peers who migrated would look at them very kindly. I don't think we down here would look at them very kindly either.
True.
So I don't think there's impetus to do that. I don't think.
True. Okay. Good way.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. And for all the people out there giving me the figurative side eye, there were no calls except for that lady who just called from the States. So This is why we continue. Okay, so we have another call. Caller, go right ahead. I was just about to go to the break, but go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hey, go ahead. We're going to be wrapping up now. Go ahead.
Yeah. A while ago we spoke about Kamala Harris and her, the vice president.
Mm-hmm.
So if Joe Biden had become incapacitated 2 months ago, who would have been the president by the Constitution?
Well,
Kamala Harris, not
yes,
about that, okay?
Yes, of course.
But you see, what I'm trying to tell you, now they picked her to attract the black votes, and a chance has come that Biden might be incapacitated. They want to push Hillary Clinton forward. And that's what the Democrats
No, but someone sent me something and said that that's fake. After you made that comment, I should have.
There's a discussion going on about that.
No, but it's fake. That's what I'm saying.
It is that Joe Biden has become incapacitated. Who to choose? There is a discussion going on about that.
Well,
everything that opposes the Democrat is fake. But you see, I need to invite somebody like you to read a book called Unfounded Loyalty by Dr. Wayne Perryman.
Okay.
She was good enough to attract the black votes and the Asian votes, but now in the case that Joe becomes incapacitated, they want to push Hillary Clinton. Okay? And furthermore, I remember the vice president, who should be second, is always more in a tertiary position. But I am telling you, and you know that by the Constitution, if Joe had become incapacitated 2 months ago, she would have been the president.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah?
Of course, but then that is why...
You know, where the real fake story is that black people are made to believe that the Democrats like them. They like to use them. That is the point. And I'm going to tell you something further. Since in the 1990s, the population become inverted in the sense that it was white, black, and Hispanics. You know what it is now? Because of the migration reckless policy, white, Hispanic, and blacks.
Yeah.
So they have more voting power now than the black people, who suffered for 400 years to build America. Anyway, Baba, have a nice day.
Okay, great. Yeah, we clearly have to have discussions on all of these topics. Never enough time to get into this topic. Okay, it's 1:30. That's going to do it for today's edition of Voices. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would have liked more caller engagement. I allowed, because I know people like to come for me about, calls went on for a century and so on. But the discussion was interesting. There was no one calling except for the lady who joined in from the US. So I always appreciate your engagement. So I think I might have to do Voices on Friday again, because Socrates is taken up with providing transportation for St. Kitts Music Festival. So I will see you guys for Voices on Friday morning, and I really appreciate your input. Just had the caller who just called. I know who it is, and I would like to hear more of you calling, actually, caller. And more of some of the other people who want to call and maybe for whatever reason can't and don't. So it's always nice to have debate and discourse on various topics. It's very stimulating. It's interesting. And I look forward to hear from everyone on Friday morning on Voices. So I want to say thank you to our sponsors, and especially the sponsor of this half, the second half of Voices, Hossford's. Good afternoon. I'm up.
Horsford's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less and save more. How, you ask? Essential Everyday and Equiline. Spend less on our Essential Everyday products and get the best quality, the best taste, and the best value. Spend less for all your family health and beauty needs with the Equiline brand of over-the-counter products. Horsford's Value Mart IGA is helping you spend less. With our Essential Everyday products and Equiline over-the-counter health and beauty care products. Shop smart. Mart and spend less at Value Mart, where price matters most.
Attention, savvy shoppers.
It's that time of year again to upgrade your home and feed your family with Hortford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store. For over 25 years, we've been making dreams come true by offering cashback coupons for free groceries on all hire purchases. That's right, we've given away over $1 million worth of groceries to our loyal customers. And this year, it's your time to cash in on the savings. Whether you're in the market for a new sofa, a sleek kitchen upgrade, or a cozy bedroom set, Hortford's and Ashley Furniture Home Store have everything you need to turn your house into a home. And when you make a higher purchase with us, you'll receive cashback coupons redeemable for free groceries.
Yes, sir.
So why wait? Visit Hortford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store today and take advantage of this incredible offer. Upgrade your home, feed your family, and save big with cashback coupons for free groceries. Only at Hortford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store.
Your expert. Burn your belly.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Get ready on Sunday, June 30 from 4 p.m. Celebrate Cajun style as Carambola Beach Club presents White Sands Mardi Gras. Featuring the White Swimsuit Competition, Mixmasters, DJ Smudge and DJ Terror of St. Kitts and Nevis, Ricky Platinum of the USA, and Chromatic Sound out of Jamaica. Electrifying performances by St. Kitts' very own Highlight, I Got You Sweet, and Mention and Miller. International performances by rising Jamaican dancehall star Najiri. The artist from Trinidad, Voice. And Chronicler of Jamaica. White Sands will be hosted by Jamaica's hottest radio host, ZJ Sparks. Sunday, June 30, Carambola Beach Club at 4 p.m. for summer's hottest all-white party. White Sands Mardi Gras. Tickets are just $100. Pay $120 at the door. For advance tickets, visit carambolabeachclub.com.
All fathers are special, and at TDC Home and Building Depot, we know this is a fact. From June 8th through to the 29th, enjoy 20% savings on appliances, electronics, furniture, hand and power tools, housewares, and lawn and gardening supplies, and show him just how much he means to you. Still not sure what to get? Gift him with a TDC gift card and let him choose exactly what he wants. Go to the store where every father shops, the TDC Home and Building Depot. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
No, if you don't know them, daddy, thank God, me know mine, and him take care of me. Daddy, I'm a generous. Need it Pacha, Pacharama. Need it Pacha, Pacharama. Need it Pacha, Pacharama. Happy birthday, it's Pacharama 50. Time to celebrate.
74 we start the celebration. Pacharama came alive. Program music, food, plenty action. Just to make culture survive. All who contribute, I acknowledge. Kabua will and his team. In Kaito, I pay great homage to Calypsonians and the Queen. Come, celebrate, celebrate. Happy birthday. Celebrate, celebrate. La Vidingole. Celebrate, celebrate. 50 years of fun. Celebrate, celebrate. Cultural explosion. Come and dance around. To the pipe and jump. Hold a tongue master. Party day and night. Oh my, what a sight. Music tight, tight, tight. Wrong Sean. Bring you. 50 years of mass culture fusion, prepared with giant despair. Some man leave playing cowboys, Indians, product nigga business out there. Street fight music from David Freeman, that will do it and think watching. There's no John and Black and them masqueraders, and kettle drum on the swelling. Come, celebrate, celebrate, happy birthday, celebrate, celebrate, everything go late, celebrate, celebrate, 50 years of fun, celebrate, celebrate, cultural explosion, come and dance around, to the pipe and drum, all a tongue master, party day and night, oh my what a sight, music tight, tight, tight. Lord Zero, what Calypso King? Call Obi, tell him to join us. Two baby blood jamming in the band. Long jam girls whining so good. Basil, you and Crab beating Stefan. You Lally and Sandy Night. Friday to take over the tongue. Oh gosh, it's festival time. Brass band playing sweet vibration. It's the greatest summer line. Come, celebrate, celebrate, happy birthday. Celebrate, celebrate, everything go late. Celebrate, celebrate, 50 years of fun. Celebrate, celebrate, cultural explosion. Come and dance around, to the pipe and drum. All the tongue master, party day and night. Oh my, what a sight, music tight, tight, tight. Oh me, exact, tight, tight, tight. Join Mistress and Lynn. Oh my chance, super chick. Cultural Golden Jubilee. Golden Jubilee, it's Culturama 50. What a sight to see, Master Splendor in Queen City. 50 years anniversary, a half a century, me vision, liberty. Golden Jubilee, it's Culturama 50. Golden Jubilee, 50 years of health and spring. Golden Jubilee, 50 years anniversary. Golden Jubilee, embracing history, all over town. Jumping, church ground, jumping, cotton ground, jumping, celebrating culture, Stony Grove, jumping, Handy Road, jumping, Credit Road, jumping, 50 years Culturama. The state mash up, the village mash up, the place mash up, Nevis Golden Jubilee, the party mash up, the Juve mash up,